Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 hacks for faster quilting. Many of you know that we have a subscription club here at Quilt Addicts Anonymous called Stashin with Stephanie, where I put out a brand new fat quarter friendly pattern for you every month. And that means that I have to make a brand new fat quarter friendly pattern and quilt it and write the pattern and get everything ready to go for you guys every single month. And with shipping delays, sometimes that means I've only got a week to do a quilt from start to finish, including quilting and the binding. So this is what I do to be able to get things done as quickly as possible without sacrificing any of the quality that I really hold myself to get all my points where they're supposed to be and the quarter inch seams and everything cut precisely, because I want the quilts to be beautiful and accurate, but also done quickly. So this is what I do, so that way we don't have to sacrifice on any of that, but you guys can get more done when you get time to sit at the machine. All right, let's get started. Hack number 1 is to read the pattern thoroughly before you get started to avoid some time-consuming mistakes. Now, most of the time when I am doing these, I'm writing the pattern as I go, but that doesn't mean that I just go willy-nilly. Like, I plan out all the math ahead of time so that I know what I'm doing. And whenever I'm doing somebody else's pattern, like So Many Creations, we make a lot of their bag patterns, I read it cover to cover so that I know what's going on. How are we installing the zipper? What am I going to be doing when I need to put in the hardware? I want to know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at every step of the way so that I don't do something that I think is supposed to be next, but it turns out it's wrong, and then I've got to spend a lot of time fixing it. That's no good. You want to be able to know what you're doing. You want to be able to follow those instructions so that way you can spend the time sewing and not spending time unpicking seams, because that's no fun. Hack number 2 is to use the cutting mat to measure. In this example, I was cutting some log cabin rectangles. What you're going to do is you're going to use the measurements at the top and bottom of your mat to measure. Then I had to cross cut that 15.5 inch strip to a bunch of smaller 2.5 inch strips. So I laid those on top of each other. Now, I don't ever like to cut more than 8 layers of fabric. Again, you need a sharp rotary blade to do this. For this one, I just did 2, but when I was cross cutting them down further, after I cut them into 2.5 inch strips, I would lay one down, and then a couple inches above that, I would layer that down so that I would never have more than 2, but they all overlapped. So at that point, what you're going to do once you have everything laid out is you're going to use your mat to measure again. I had to cut enough rectangles, it was over 500 for a twin size quilt, and I was able to do all the fat quarters and background in under an hour, and it's because I used the mat to measure. Hack number 3 is to chain piece. This is going to save you a lot of time and thread. What I do is I place all my quilt block units next to me so that I've got enough in each section to do all the blocks that I need. Then what I do is I start in my top row and I just put my corner block to the middle block on the top row and I stitch that down. And then I repeat with the next 2 until I've made it through the entire stack. Then I move on to the middle row and then finally the bottom. Then what you're going to do when you are chain piecing, you're going to cut apart all the threads that are between your chain piece units, lay everything back out in place, and then put the other part of your block on. This works great if you've got in really anything, 4 patches, 9 patches, 16 patches, and on up. You just want to keep going until you have all your rows together. Hack number 4 is to wait to press until your entire row is assembled. Now, this does not work for things with like diamonds where you are going to be crossing seams, but in any standard 9 patch, 4 patch, things like that, where the seams do not need to be pressed before you sew something over it, this works great. All you want to do is just lay everything out as you're sewing it. Then you can take the entire row to the pressing area at one time and press those seams open so that way you are ready to go. And what I do is I just press it and then I complete my stack, and then I'm able to get everything ready to go to assemble my block, and everything is just super efficient. Because I don't know about you, I iron at my desk, and so being able to do that means I need to move my sewing machine out of the way, then I need to pull out my ironing stuff and get that all done, and then put it back. Just do it all at once and it'll save you a ton of time. Hack number 5 is to pin all your rows at once. So what I do is I get everything nice and laid out. I sit there and I do all my double pinning to make sure that all my triangles end up where they're supposed to be. And I just end up with a big stack that I can then chain piece through the sewing machine using one of my other hacks to speed up your quilting. And that way you can just sit in front of your favorite TV show and do it, but it's a lot more efficient than sitting at the machine and grabbing 2 rows to go together, pinning them, sewing, and then pinning and sewing and pinning and sewing and pinning and sewing. It works a lot better when you can get in a rhythm. You're gonna move a lot faster that way. Well, I hope you have enjoyed these 5 hacks to speed up your quilting. If you have any that I haven't mentioned, please comment and let me know what they are. Maybe we'll give them a try and we will put them out in another video later on. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying our other shorts and things that we're putting out to give you lots of quick tips and tricks on how to improve your quilting. And what I really want to stress here is all of these tips will not make it go together and have it look like trash. You are still going to be able to be super accurate. You're going to have a quilt that comes together with all the points where they should be, because we're not skimping on any of that. We're still going to be very deliberate and put out a really good quilt. We're just going to be able to be more efficient and be able to do it faster so we can make more things and get all those happy little endorphins from creating and finishing, because finishing is fun. It's good to get something done because then you feel good about starting another project. All right, thanks for following along, and until next time, happy quilting.